I was the one facing a grave, for heaven's sake, with my head stuck and my hands bleeding. Now, not. This story happened the day after my grandmother was buried. So please, before we go on, could you subscribe? Let me tie my bandana well, and then we continue. So, the day my grandmother was buried, that day, I and my cousins were sleeping in a room. The girls were sleeping in one room, and the boys were sleeping in the other room. So, what happened that day? The following happened on the night of the burial of. I thought I was scared. I thought it was scary. We still laugh about it till today. Our house was still full because of those people who came to help us bury our grandmother. Many had left, but still all the rooms were packed. As usual, my cousins and I told stories in our bedroom till late in the night, when all of us finally dozed off. Our room had 2 double-deckers, 2 bunk beds, and I slept with one of my cousins in the upper bed, and the other one slept in the lower bed. Our bed was the next to the window. My 3 brothers, on the other hand, had fallen asleep earlier because they were tired after a long day. There were not as many as we were in our room because all the men were still outside telling stories and catching up, maybe till morning. By the way, the whole compound was still packed. People were sitting in groups dressed warmly for the night, just telling stories. We had slept for about 2 hours. It was around 2 a.m. when we were woken up by a loud scream coming from the men's room. I was still sleepy when I woke up, and I did not even want to open my eyes. There was a commotion everywhere, and everyone was running everywhere. I sat on the bed as I tried to figure out what was happening. It then dawned on me that the men were screaming. Men screaming? Why are the men screaming? I was used to women screaming, but not men. All my brothers were screaming in their room. Hey, I did not even wait for a second chance. If men were screaming, then it must have been something to do with the biggest monster on earth, I thought. Whatever it was attacking them was seriously dangerous, because it was very unusual for men to scream. Their room was next to ours, and I was not ready to come face to face with whatever that was. If it could make men scream like that, then it would going to make me die. I knew that things next destination was our room. Just then, my elder sister Linda woke up, and all she was saying was, "Beryl, wake up, turn on the light." I was the one nearest to the switch, but didn't even think of a moment that wherever was attacking my brother could attack me if I walked to the switch. I was not going to walk to the switch at all costs. Never. So I sat on the bed stiff and waited for whoever was brave enough to walk to the light and switch them on. Just then, our door flew open. I don't even know who did that. The corridor light was still on, and the bed I was in was facing the door. I lifted my head and looked at the corridor, at least to have an idea of what was going on. The first thing I saw got me confused. My aunt ran past our door from the boys' room carrying a partly eaten chapati. The speed at which she did, the speed at which she ran, the speed at which she did that is what scared me, that scared the hell out of me. This thing was not only making men scream, but it was also making the elderly run. Without a warning, my sister Janet, who was sleeping on the lower bed, was leaving the bed, kicking the door back shut. We don't want that thing in here. In the process of kicking the door, she accidentally kicked my cousin Carol so hard. Carol had decided to walk to the switch and switch on the light, and unfortunately Janet caught her up in the dark. She fell flat on the floor, screaming, and immediately everyone in our room thought the monster was finally here. All this was happening as the men were still screaming. As everyone in our room reached for the door, I had not even left my bed. I was not going to go out through the same door the monster had used to come in. The only option I had was to go out through the window. Immediately, I started breaking the window with my bare hands and feet. I was holding onto the window grill and kicking the glass hard. On all this still in total darkness. As I broke the window, the screams in our room became louder. Probably they thought the monster was at work. I had people rushing into our room to help. That did not bother me. All I wanted was to leave the room. After breaking the window, I tried to push my head out, but it couldn't. The space between the grills were too tiny. Then I started pulling the grill apart so that I could fit in between. You might not believe it, but I managed to slightly pull them apart. The grill were probably not made so strong. The house was built 30 years ago. I do not even know where I got all the strength from. Once there was enough space, I pushed my head through, then realized my shoulder was too wide and I couldn't fit. I decided that I was just going to maintain the position. If the monster were going to get into the room, it was going to attack me from behind. I did not want to lay my eyes on whatever it was. It was causing chaos in the compound already. Even if it managed to attack and kill me, I was determined to die beautifully. Nothing was going to disfigure my face. After all, my head was already safely outside. That was all that matters then. By the way, as I stuck my head out, I kicked vigorously at the back. I was not going to give the monster an easy time. I was kicking anything and everything behind me. Just then, everything came to a standstill. There was total silence everywhere. All the lights had been switched on. For a moment, I thought that everyone was dead. I stopped kicking and tried to remove my head, but it got stuck. On the other side, I did not want to open my eyes because right in front of me was my mother's grave. Why the hell did they even bury my mother behind our bedroom? Who was who wants to look at a grave in the wee hour of the night when something was attacking them? I was not looking at the grave. I was not looking at the grave. Where was I? I was not looking at the grave at all, at any cost. All I could do was call my sister Linda. She was the eldest and her help would come in handy. I shouted, Linda! Just then I received several slaps on my leg. Keep quiet. Shut up! Why do you want to start screaming when everyone has talked? First of all, remove your head from where you where you are. We need to know what was making people scream. They actually thought I was sticking my head out intentionally. I was stuck, for crying out loud. Before I could tell them I was stuck, they all left the room. Everyone rushed to the men's room and I find out what to find out what was actually making them scream. Everyone in the compound was struggling to get into the house and to see what was happening while I was here stuck. When I was forcing my head out it went through without much struggle. Now it was becoming an uphill task to put it back in. Once again, I shouted Linda's name, and no one came to my rescue. It was now becoming painful, considering my body was hanging on the other side and other part of my and the other is part hanging inside the room, and my hands and feet are bleeding from the cut I got from breaking the window. Just then, our dog Osama came and stood next to the window and started barking at me. At first, I was comfortable with it barking there because it would attract someone attention, since everyone was concentrating on the other side and I would be rescued. It was barking so loud and I knew it thought I was an invader. Then I called it by its name and showed it was me. Then it heard my voice. It stopped barking and looked straight into my eyes. It then went silent and just stood there looking at me. Just then, I remember a Nigerian movie I had watched where a dead person came back to life in the form of a dog, and I thought that my mother had left the grave and was now looking at me there in the form of a dog, trying to help me, but equally helpless. I thought to myself, Allah, I'm not waiting for this dog to talk to me like in the movies. That thought alone made me let out a very loud scream like, I'm dying! That ended up attracting people to my end. Phew, help me! I'm dying! My sister came running. Beryl, are you stuck? Are you stuck there? Anne was the first to ask. Then all started laughing. My dad came together with my uncles. Then it was time to help me out. After a little bit of struggle, they managed to free me. My dad was so scared. He actually thought that something had attacked me. In fact, some villagers were concluded that had concluded that some evil things had attacked me. I was just trying to get away from whatever was attacking people in the next door. I was later told that the men had seen a ghost in their room. A ghost, a white one, swinging in the air. Ah, who was the one supposed to see a ghost between them? I was the one facing a grave, for heaven's sake, with my head stuck and my hands bleeding. Now, not them. These people had watched so many ogre movies in Nairobi, and had now come to spoil the peace we had at home. Do I need to say prayers were held? Do I need to say prayers were held in the homestead until morning? People did not sleep. And then the next day, all the Nairobians were sent back to Nairobi in a bus. And then the window where I was stuck in was named a Ghostbuster window. Do you like it? I laughed when I was reading this thing. Somebody shared it, and I wanted to share it with you. Please subscribe. Bye.